Man, blessed ones. So this is going to be another review and not really too long. I don't really want to do like a whole series review, but I just want to cover a couple things on Power Book 3, Raising Kanan, and the last season for those who have been following this whole Power universe and the Power series. Now, look, I didn't look at the last season of Force, but I did watch the last season of Raising Kanan. And I'm going to just put it like this, and I'm going to be very quick. Kanan then killed the majority of his whole family. The hitters that mattered and stuff. And, you know, the crazy thing about it is with Raising Kanan, because it is a prequel, but like we've already established our relationship with Kanan from, the original Power played by 50 Cent. And, Kanan was wild. He was a wild dude. And the fact that, you have a guy who killed his son, you already know, like, oh man, this dude was vicious. You killed your own son. But then when you get into Raising Kanan and knowing, like, he tried to kill his dad, but then his mother ended up killing his dad at the end of, I think it was season 3 or 4. But then he accidentally killed his uncle, and that kind of already that ended up making matters worse. And then he went inside of a church, y'all. Young Kanan Stark went inside of a church, an actual church, and killed his uncle. Now, I'm going to just put it this way. The way that Uncle Marvin beat the brace off Kanan in a previous episode, you probably already known that it was coming. I'm not even really like so surprised that he killed Uncle Marvin, but the fact that he killed him in a church is diabolical. Now that's just my view. That's my opinion. That was a hard kill. Of course, again, when you're watching these shows like Power and all these different spinoffs, we're just gonna call it what it is. We're rooting for the bad guys. We love violence. We love toxic things. We love this type of negativity because it is negativity. You know what I'm saying? It's a show. We don't really think that it's real, but these are based on true events. Things like this really happens in the streets. Families are really killing off family because it's like this is money. Like money, for the love of money is the root of all evil. We already know what it is. We know the like how Bree is gonna go, and it was kind of and it's kind of interesting they actually played around with that when Breeze had killed the one dude in the bathroom. And he was like, you know this is gonna happen to you one day, and he was like, he's gonna probably deserve it. So it's like we already know it's gonna happen. Shout out to 50 Cent, shout out to Courtney Kemp, shout out to the one lady, I think Sasha Pim, who's the creator of the other thing. But just shout out to Star, shout out to the whole team, the actors, everybody, man. Because I tell you, man, for me, Rock's death might have been the one that kind of hurt me the most. Out of the whole franchise, maybe not the whole franchise, let me stop, but out of that whole, series of Raising Kanan, Rock's probably was the one that hit me the most. And it's not because it was Rock, but just the fact that Juke ended her. The way that Juke came in there, Juke is cold blooded, yo. And I don't even think this is when she kind of becomes like, because again, she's still young, but she's not even like police officer Juke yet. But I feel like some point in Origins, I don't know how many seasons they got lined up for Origins, but at some point in that, because we already know that she's going to apparently be in it, that we're gonna probably see more of Jarita. We're gonna, of course, Ghost and Tommy is going to be in there. We're going to probably find out why they called them Ghosts. I forgot why they called them that. I don't know if they mentioned it in the original Power or not. But the fact that we'll be getting that soon, I'm not sure how soon, because I know the 50 Cent other series, Fightland, is, just dropped episode 2. It was like, I think it's cool right now. I think the episode, I think Fightland is gonna, have a, good, good draw. But Raising Kanan, man, like, Jukebox came up in that crib, and just like the acting was just phenomenal. And what made it so dramatic too is because they had the face off, like, when, cause Juke and Rock was close, aunt, uncle, the only two women. Well, I mean the grandma, but she, you know what that is. But like, they was close, and the fact that Juke killed Rock behind Kanan killing her dad, Uncle Marvin, it was like one of those moments where I'm like, we didn't necessarily know if Rock made it out or not, because it was a point where, if y'all remember in season 2, when Kanan got out of jail and he told Ghost and Tommy, he just got out, he saw his mom's, and he came straight there. He was lying, but it's like, that was one of those hint-offs. But it's like, man, like, we still, like, he might have went to go see a grave, because if y'all know the history of Raising Kanan and the relationship that Kanan and his mom has, it's kind of like, man, y'all, like, Kanan really hated his mother, but loved her at the same time. Because even when Rock, at the end of the last episode, when she was like, "Do you love me, Kanan?" and then Kanan was like, you're my mom," and she's like, "That don't mean nothing." And I mean, in all honesty, man, Rock was right, because you can raise a child away, and sometimes the child can turn out to be a different way. But then there's also that fact where it's like, the child knows that some of the stuff that you're doing is criminal, is diabolical, and then you kind of take up after that. And here was something actually interesting. Somebody said, they said, kids already don't listen to their elders, hardly listen to their parents, but they still kind of end up having the same traits as their parents. They still kind of mirror how their parents were, or how their parents are. And that really hit me. That hit me in a different way too, because I was like, that's true. Because, I talk about my son all the time. Like, I love my son, as much as I try to, teach my son certain things, I know he's going to end up to be his own man as he get older. And even now, like, he has different, traits. Have some of my traits, have some of his mom traits. But, it's just interesting because, Jukebox, who was probably maybe one of the more head on straight type woman, she ended up going into the military, then she left the military, and then, she kind of started, she wasn't really necessarily in the game, but, she knows what her family does. Aunt's this big time gangster, dad's a big time gangster, uncle was kind of like, he was a gangster, he left, he was trying to, do his music thing, then he ended up coming back, then he ended up getting killed, and that was just like, man, that's kind of wild. Like, Lou couldn't really get a break. You know what I'm saying? He was doing okay, like, when he left from under his sister Shadows, being her henchman or whatever, like killing and chopping their bodies up for his older sister. He decided to get into the music game and, kind of like invest in a bar or whatnot, where they can, because again, Partisan Fontaine was in there too, but Partisan Fontaine was another one, he couldn't leave the streets alone. But I will say this too, since I'm talking about it. Shout out to Unique, played by Joey Badass, because he got out and 50, when he was narrating, he talked about, it was like, man, he said only one person he knew that got out of it, I got respect for him. So Joey Badass is gone. I don't think we'll see him again because from what I understood, he was originally supposed to get killed off, and then I guess they decided to bring him back. But because based on what I know about the streets, I'm not in the streets, but I know some things. But one thing I know about the streets is like there's a certain lifestyle that you get used to. You constantly try to get out of it, and then it just keeps bringing you back. Because, like I said, and even now, it's like times are hard now. But then it makes you think, it's like, man, Unique, his woman was telling him, we can leave, we got enough money to get out of here. And at first he was, he was reluctant. He was very like, nah, we never gonna leave New York. And then I think maybe that same episode or the next episode, he ended up leaving the gang, left his stuff because he would have got killed had Marvin found him, had Kanan and Breeze found him. Like, he was going to, like, if he didn't leave that episode or leave when he did, he would have been gone. And it kind of goes back again, too, where Unique made it out safe and sound. Ghost, James St. Patrick, I can't wait to see Origins, because we're going to learn, because y'all seen young Ghost and Tommy on the final season of Raising Kanan. And even though the season was short, like cut short 2 episodes, it's fine. I think it was a good way to end the series. So we'll see Kanan again. I'm sure we'll see Jukebox again in Origins, but the way that they introduced Kane, the way they introduced James and Ghost, it's interesting. Because I don't think people peep this, though, because we know that Raising Kanan, I want to say it started in the late 80s. When Omar Epps was in there and when Famous Nardum was in there. But we know that this series, this particular season, was in 1993. Because when they showed Marvin visit Lou's grave, it said, 93. So he died in 1993. So we know that around this time, Breeze is around. Ghost and Tommy came around. They was young. So I don't know. They might do they could do a 10-year or a 5-year time jump. I don't know how old they were in the last episode, but we know that they was teenagers. They was in high school when they started messing around with Breeze and Kanan. And the crazy thing too about Breeze was, cause see, I honestly thought that Breeze was gonna kill Snap and Pop. That was another thing. Like, again, these are bad guys, but I was like, man, Snap and Pop, man, like I wanted them gone from the moment, from like the very beginning, from when Kanan was like kind of like pulled his chest up when Rock and Kanan was, met. Well, I guess Kanan came in, but when they was talking in the office. But then when Snap and Pop told Kanan that Rock killed Famous, that kind of made me upset. Cause I'm like, oh, they setting this up. And then I'm like, are they gonna die? Because they were slick with it. They, like I said, they're very smart. And then Kanan, still kind of being new in the game, but kind of, he's showing promise to, Snap and Pop, and he got with Breeze, and Breeze thinks that that's his brother because Def Con, and then Breeze was talking to Kanan about how Rock killed Def Con, and that's why Snap and Pop don't really rock with Rock like that. Like everybody wanted Rock dead because they was like, she's vicious. But she managed to get out of that. She can't remember the guy's name, but she ended up killing one dude, and then that was the deal that Stefano made. And then as she was packing, and this was kind of like one of the things I'm like, man, why would you do that after? You need to do, like, if you already planned on leaving, you could have did that before. And another thing too is, I know Rock supposed to be a G, but you be leaving your door unlocked. Like, Unique was ended up in your kitchen when you came home. Kanan was able to pull a gun out on you when he was in your crib. I mean, that's your son, but then, Lulu came in, then, he reacted. And then, Jukebox came through, and, you got killed in your own home. And the sickest part, too, about it is, she left her there for Kanan to see. So it's just like, she was going to get with Sec, but then she's like, nah, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to, I'm just going to go do, like, deal with the consequences. But Jukebox killing Rock, that was, I'm just like, man, this is going to be interesting. Because I want to know when Jukebox and Kanan really stop dealing with each other, because I know, because Jukebox knows Ghost and Tommy. So at some point, she's going to know who they are. And the fact that Jukebox knows that, Kanan was in jail, Jukebox didn't know that Ghost was the one that set him up. Jukebox, I think at some point, like, I'm not going to say they're going to end up being cool again, but at some point, Jukebox is going to be in the next series of Origins, and I don't know when it's starting. I probably need to look it up, but I'm excited, yo. They got my guy. I don't remember the guy's name. He was in All American. Chris, he played Chris in All American. He's playing Ghost. So this is we're gonna see how this play out. I'm very excited about this, and the fact that I'm not sure if Courtney Kemp is gonna continue to be a writer on this, because I know that, I don't know if Courtney and 50 are still doing business with one another, but this is going to be good. Power Origins, it's going to be good. I'm gonna let me see, because I don't know. I don't really know when this is coming up. It says, all right, so Courtney Kemp. Yeah, so Makai Curtis is still going to be in there. I think, what's his name? Charles Mann. I guess he's playing Tommy. And then Spence Moore and Surrey, so they only got like 4. So I don't know when this is coming out. Yeah, so Courtney Kemp is still doing this. Still going to be in Stars. There's really no, yeah, so in the late 90s. So I think this is probably going to be like, so it might be in around the same time that, yeah, I don't know. All right, so Zuri Reed is playing Tasha Green. So we know we already got, all right, so Kate Egan's going to be in there. It doesn't show Shamik Moore, nor does it show Haley Kilgore in it, but at some point we know that they gotta be in some point in there, but we'll see. But I'm excited about Power Origins, but like I said, Raising Kanan, it's a good series. Like I think 50 and Courtney Kemp, they did good with the Power universe. And I'm gonna be honest, I mean, I'm not gonna say we don't need the origins, but like I'm good if they didn't do it. But this is gonna kind of like set the way because after they're done with origins, what's gonna come after that? Are they gonna end up coming back with the Tariq and Tommy show? Where I don't know if it was Power Legacy, but it's gonna be good, man. Like this Power universe been going on for at this point, what 10, at least 10 years at this point. You know, the character development has grown. Like I said, like Jukebox being ended up turning out how she turned out at the end of Raising Kanan. She was already on Dark Path because she was the one that ended up killing Snaps and Pops, and that was a G. That was a G move. Like she went to Kanan like, look, we gotta, like, they killed Fame, they lied to you, da da da, and then Pop, he was the one that was, he was like doubling down, like, hey, they lying to you, but Juke peeped. She ain't dumb. She knew he was trying to reach for the piece, so he ended up popping them. She ended up popping both of them right after they fired Breeze, because I felt like Breeze was going to end up killing them for a whole totally different reason, but that didn't happen. So that was a nice little twist right there. But man, it's good, man. I probably need to go back and watch Force now while I still got the stream, but I don't think I need to. I know most everybody died for the most part, but man, yo, that was, like I said, a lot of that stuff is valid, and that was another thing too. Before I leave y'all again, that there's a lot of movies that are negative or at least violent that we don't really deem as violent. It's like, okay, look, what's the difference between Power and Marvel? Because Marvel deal with a lot of comic book and characters and superhero. We don't look at it in the same way as a Power universe, because here's the thing. In Spider-Man, the bad guys, they're doing they're doing certain crimes, and a lot of those crimes too are, dealing drugs, dealing with guns and all that. That's the same thing that Power does, murder, killing, robbing, drug dealing, arms dealing, backstabbing, lies, all that stuff. You get that in Spider-Man, you get that in Avengers, you get that in a lot of Marvel stuff, DC stuff, but again, it's more, that's based on fantasy. When you're looking at the Power series or a lot of these other gangster movies, that's based on reality. But at the end of the day, like I said this before and I'll say it again, I believe in aliens, I believe in multiverse, I believe in ghosts, so I believe in all these things. So to me, because again, like I said, this just goes again with being like the type of person, like being a God, spiritual person. I watch Power. I watch Spider-Man. A lot of the horror movies and shows, I mean, there's still some stuff in there, but there's no different in the Marvel DC stuff and the Tyler Perry and 50 Cent stuff. Like all of it kind of has violence in it, explicit things in it, some very dangerous content in there. So that's pretty much it, man. Like I just wanted to kind of go and do another recap because I like doing reviews. Sometimes I don't do them as much because I don't think I would have enough information. But for the most part, my reviews are mainly for people who've already seen it. But if people didn't see it, then they would want to see it. Like there's a lot of other, like the last episode I was talking about the last house, but like I said, there's a lot of other things in it. But let me get out of here. Blessed ones, y'all stay safe, stay prosperous, productive, and most of all positive. This is Blair, and I'll see y'all.